Hello and welcome to this India Today special. A fierce and furious debate has been reignited in this country over a uniform civil code. A debate that has been sparked off by the ruling BJP and Prime Minister Modi, but is now being actively discussed in various fora. We still don't have a formal UCC proposal in mind, but already various groups are making it clear their positions, either supporting or opposing some form of a uniform civil code. Does India need a uniform civil code? What's the way ahead? Joining me now is someone who has a strong opinion on such issues. I'm joined by former Rajya Sabha MP, but better known as one of the country's greatest lyricists, scriptwriters, Javed Akhtar joins me. Appreciate you joining me, Javed Akhtar. Let me understand from you at the very outset. Where do you stand on the idea? We'll come to specifics in a moment, but the broad idea of whether India should have a uniform civil code.
Well, in principle, I'll say yes, why not? But you see, there are a lot of practical difficulties. I mean, India is a world in itself. It's not like any average European country where there is one language, one religion, one race, one tradition. India has such a variety and such a range of cultures, subcultures, traditions, customs, that it becomes very difficult to imagine that how we can achieve that. And if we can, wonderful, that's the best thing to happen. But what is happening nowadays is rather strange. There's a proverb in my language, "Soot na kapas kori se lattam latta." So, na soot hai, na kapas hai, and you are fighting with the bunkar, with the weaver. So, abhi kya hai, the first thing which is required to, I think, assuage many fears of different communities or different groups, or to have some people who, like me, would like to support it, have more equipment and argument to defend that, is a draft. In the absence of the draft, I mean, you can only have wild guesses. And that, I think, creates confusions, misunderstandings, and fears. The first thing that should come is a definite draft from the government.
Because, you know, the fact, Javed Bhai, from what you're saying in your opening statements is that you think a uniform civil code, according to you, is desirable, but in a country as plural as India, you're not sure whether it is feasible, as diverse as India. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Okay, then let's then come one by one.
But then we should not decide that it's not feasible till we don't see the draft.
Okay, so you're saying
there should be a draft. I mean, there are experts who will make the draft. So let's see what they are suggesting.
Okay, so you're saying that the way forward is first at least provide us a draft so that we can debate on a draft, not in the air.
That's true.
But now look at a group with which you've had a sort of long, rather troubled association in terms of the fact you've been a critic of it, the All India Muslim Personal Law Board. Now, the All India Muslim Personal Law Board has already asked Muslims to object to the Uniform Civil Code. They have said the fundamental religious book of Muslims, being the Holy Quran, in the form of religious texts, which are matters of Article 25 and 26 of the Constitution, mandates its believers to follow the injunctions as prescribed therein. Muslims in India will not be agreeable to lose their identity, of which there is a space within the constitutional framework. They seem to suggest a uniform civil code will in a way prevent Muslims from their allegiance to, they believe, the Sharia, to the Quran.
I couldn't disagree. I couldn't disagree more. Each and every word is wrong and inaccurate. First of all, this is not Islamic law. It's a law made by Britishers in 1937. And that was the time when there were a lot of Muslim Jagirdars and Muslim Zamindars, and they told all these so-called saviors of Islam that come what may, you are not going to put Islamic law in agricultural property. And because according to Quran, the daughter has share in everything, in every kind of property. And the Jagirdars and Zamindars were not willing to give their agricultural property to their daughters. So very meekly and obediently, all these mullahs and imams and uh, scholars and uh, ulamas accepted that, which is totally anti-Quran. And it's almost 90 years, more or less 90 years. None of them objected on that. None of them has raised voice that this is wrong. None of them. So many people have come in personal law board, so many people have gone because they died, new people came, but none of them said that they should be removed and the daughter should get property share in everything according to their own Quran. We are not suggesting it, it is their own religion, but they did not do it.
So
Come
you,
to, yeah, again, look at their regressive attitudes. And they are obstinate, regressive, unreasonable people. Let's not give them importance. Let's think in a broad spectrum. Yeah,
no, so
they were
are you
deadly
saying,
against.
yeah, go
Let me
ahead.
complete.
Yeah,
Let me.
please complete.
They were, I mean, fighting hammer and toe. That triple talaq, the instant divorce, should not be removed from Indian
Laws.
laws. And the fact is that in most of the Muslim countries, I mean, it's a shame for us that even in Pakistan and Bangladesh, the triple talaq is not allowed and was not allowed. But these people were fighting for it and they were saying Islam khatre mein hai, because, and most of the Muslim countries in the world have banned it. It was not allowed there, but they were fighting for it. And what happened that ultimately government imposed it on them and they just kept quiet. And it would have been wonderful if they had done it themselves, because so many women groups, so many moderate Muslims were insisting since last almost 40 years, if not more, that please change it. So to expect any reasonable attitude from these people will be wastage of time. Let's ignore them. They are not the representative. Who has made them the representative of 20 crore Muslims of India? Have they been elected? They have just made a gang and they pretend that they are the sole representative of the Muslim community. They are not. So let's not give them too much importance. India is much bigger than them. We have many other issues. There are many other people. We have to look into Naga problems. We have to see tribals. We have to see Hindus themselves.
No,
I mean,
I'll come to that in a moment about, the question that Hindus also will have to look at when it comes to UCC. But broadly, what you're saying is that the All India Muslim Personal Law Board does not represent all the Muslims of this country. The All India Muslim Personal Law Board, according to you, is wrongly interpreting the Quran and the Sharia, and the All India Muslim Board is essentially a regressive body that does not want women to get gender equality. Am I correct?
I am not saying they are interpreting wrongly. I'm not a scholar.
Okay.
I'm not a scholar of Islam. But I'm saying that in most of the Muslim countries, this was not allowed when they were fighting for instant divorce. It was not allowed. So have they gone out of the ambit of Islam? If it is so, then please educate me and tell me that all these Muslim countries are no longer Islamic because they have banned instant divorce. I'll believe you because you are the scholars of Islam. I am not. I'm not.
But
So I'm not saying this. But the fact is that as far as the property is concerned, they went against Quran, and till today they don't have the guts because they are not they are scared of men.
right. But you see,
They are
the
iman.
reason,
Yes.
the reason,
Yeah.
Javed Akhtar, I started with the All India Muslim Personal Law Board because whether you like it or not, Uniform Civil Code has become, in a way, caught in this Hindu-Muslim binary. Many Hindus seem to believe यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड आएगा तो मुसलमानों को सबक सिखाएंगे, वो लोग जो है 2-3 शादियां करते हैं, that will all stop. They will also have to follow the laws of the land. That's how it's almost been pushed over the years, that a uniform civil code will essentially put Muslims in their place and they will have to follow the laws of rest of India.
Uniform Civil Code is much bigger than that. Its ambit is much bigger than just bigamy. Of course, if Uniform Civil Code comes, bigamy will not be allowed in any community. whether in Hindu community or Muslim community. So far, let me tell you one thing. It is a kind of a pretension that it is not allowed in Hindu. The condition is that you cannot marry, and if you marry, the only person who can report and fight against it legally is the first wife. Have some common sense. If the first wife would be in the position to go to the court or to the police, the man will not dare to marry again. So that is why, and you see that there is a huge, huge number of Hindus who have two wives, huge number, not ordinary, many.
But you see, it is.
But bigamy is one thing. Bigamy, of course, if our uniform civil code comes, bigamy will have to be stopped. But now let's go to the tribals. Let's go to the Nagas. What we will do? They have customs of centuries. Are you going to tell them, no, your customs are invalid now? It will become a big problem, social issue. Then within Hindu community, there are Bhata and Mitakshara, and there are traditions in South which are totally opposite to the tradition of North. I mean, even in marriage, the best marriage that in South India you can have is a girl marrying her maternal uncle. I mean, it is unimaginable for a Punjabi. The idea will be like what you call incest. So, what will you do? You'll ban the marriage with the niece and the uncle in Tamil Nadu, or you'll allow it in Punjab? What will you do? And look at the second marriages. Now, the highest average of second marriages percentage is in tribals. Now, will you tell them, no, you can't do it? There are certain tribes where the tradition is that all the property goes to the youngest daughter. Now, will you tell them that, no, you can't give this property to the youngest daughter? India is not an ordinary country. We are a world in ourselves. To control that, to bring it under one law of marriage, divorce, and virasat, its inheritance, it's very, very difficult. And you will have to develop a very smart, very sensible, very sensitive draft to assuage everybody's fear. Let's have that draft. Is it impossible?
Yeah, because you see,
I can see it is very, very, very.
You're looking at the complications, Mr. Javed Akhtar, that are associated, for example, with marriage across this country. But even when it comes to, the demand for a uniform civil code affecting the whole concept of HUFs or Hindu undivided families that result in benefits from income tax laws to succession plans. Now,
that will, I think, if I'm not wrong, I'm not a great man in figures and mathematics, but I feel that it will make a difference of around 70 to 18% to an average undivided Hindu family if you seize that route. Because obviously when you change, everybody will have a common law. So either you will get this undivided family to Christians and to Sikhs and Muslims and tribals and everybody, Parsis, or you will deprive Hindus from this privilege. You'll have to do something to make it uniform.
But you see the argument that today, for example, Venkaiah Naidu, the former vice president, has made is he seems to suggest that our constitution makers desired it and therefore it was within the directive principles. They did not make it, in a sense, they did not impose it, but it was a desirable goal. And for constitutional equality in the 21st century, you do need uniformity. You cannot have so many personal laws of communities in a way in a country like India anymore. To promote gender equality, constitutional equality, you need a uniform civil code. Do you believe that's a overly simplistic argument? Because that's, how do you impose equality in a diverse society? The tribes of the Northeast have their own traditions and customs, and across India, the Sikhs have their own problems. We would all like to see uniformity, but how do you ensure uniformity amidst diversity is the challenge?
That's true. That's true. One wonders how it will be achieved, how we can do that. There are so many customs, and customs, or age-old customs, are as strong as the laws, laws written on the paper. The customs are equally important for tribal, from people, particularly Northeast and so on. And tomorrow, if you say, all right, so we cannot implement it on tribal, we will not implement it in so and so, and so and so, and so and so, then it ceases to be a uniform civil code. You can't do that. Uniform Civil Code, it is in Article 44, this desire in Article 44, and the state shall endeavor to make a law which will be implemented on the whole country. So, there is another joke going on. Now there is some state that is making personal law. Uniform Civil Code. How can a state do that? It means every state will have its own uniform civil code. Then it won't be uniform.
No, but
it is the prerogative and the responsibility of the center to do that.
But
and center will make this law for the whole of the country.
No, but the fact, Javed bhai, let me just stop you. Let me just stop you for a moment, only to say that look, these arguments that you're making have over the last 70 years been made by various people, and there has been no real serious debate as a result on Uniform Civil Code. Now the government of India says, look, we are encouraging states, Uttarakhand is the first one ready with a draft, and therefore if the center cannot do it because of the sheer diversity of India and impose one law across India, let individual states choose to do so if it is acceptable. So like in the United States, where you'll have very different laws as you go from one state to the other, it appears that's the model that is being followed at the moment. Several Indian BJP-ruled state governments in particular are saying, we are going to implement a uniform civil code, while states like Tamil Nadu, which is DMK ruled, are saying we will not impose it. So it is becoming now a state issue and not, as you are saying, a central issue.
It cannot be a state issue because it is self-defeating. It is contradicting itself. If states have a rule, and different states have different rules, then where is the Uniform Civil Code of India? It's not possible. It is the responsibility, and let us not, of course it is very difficult, but why should we believe it is impossible? Let the experts of this country make a draft first. I know it will be walking on a tightrope. It is very difficult. But why should we, without getting a draft, why should we think it is impossible? But as long as the government of India, the center, doesn't give a draft, there will be confusions, suspicions, misunderstanding, and everybody will be free to say anything. Let there be something solid like a draft, and then you can pinpoint that this is what I disagree with because of such and such reason, and so on and so forth, and there can be improvisation and correction and so on, and then finally we can reach a draft which should become the law of the country. But it cannot happen without a basic draft.
No, but then
it is making free for all.
You see, but that's exactly what is happening. You've been in Parliament yourself, you were a nominated member, and it appears that the attempt is being made to create a mahal, to create an environment. Chaliye, Uniform Civil Code par baat karte hain. Opposition says it's a diversion. Opposition says this is not the real issue confronting the country. We want to talk about economic distress. We want to talk about jobs. We want to talk about Manipur. The Prime Minister and the BJP is talking about Uniform Civil Code. The government says we have, the BJP has always had UCC as part of its agenda. Ram Mandir, Article 370 are done. Now we are turning towards the UCC. Now, once politics enters, then obviously people start taking these sharp positions, and that's the problem. Then you can't have a reasoned, rational debate in a hyper-polarized India where everyone is taking, Javed bhai, a political position now.
Okay, first of all, I disagree with this, that the government should not talk about the Uniform Civil Code, because the government is supposed to talk about unemployment, government has talked about prices and so on. The government should do everything, including Uniform Civil Code. So it is not either or. The government have to, any government in Delhi will have to look after many issues and fight at many fronts. So it is not either or. They talk about this and don't talk about this. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about that also. And if the government is not talking about prices or unemployment, we insist that the government should. But it doesn't mean that we should not talk about this. Why not? So many years have passed. Let's talk about it. But I insist, I repeat myself, that it cannot be a constructive discussion without a draft given by the central government.
So do
And I
you
don't,
believe that this debate should start first in parliament and then go to civil society, or should people trigger off this debate and parliament should reflect the views of people?
No. The debate should start with a draft. This is the draft. This is the objection we have. This is what we appreciate. This is what we don't like. When there is no draft, what are we talking about? It is in abstraction. Like you yourself said, that there are some people who think stopping Muslim from the second wife is common uniform civil code. Uniform civil code is much bigger than that.
Right. You're saying
it is not all. Yeah. So uniform civil code, there has to be a draft to be discussed. Otherwise, it will be only two manner.
Okay. I think what you're trying, in a sense, is sending out a message to the powers that be, that let's begin with a solid draft, a well thought out draft based on inputs from different sections of society, and then have a reasoned, rational debate. And maybe that's the starting point. And hopefully, we can keep away some of those religious hotheads who are perhaps looking at the Uniform Civil Code as a way in which some of their interpretations of the laws are affected.
And please, towards the end of this review, let me repeat one thing. Muslim Personal Law Board people have a point of view. They have all the right to have the point of view, whether right or wrong, whatever. But they are not the sole guardians or representatives of Muslim community in this country. That's for sure.
I think those are very strong words, and I think those are words that you said.
No, they are not strong words. They are. I'm just telling you a reality. That's fact. No, they are obsolete. They are no place in modern world.
They will say this is Javed Akhtar expressing his views as a liberal. He is disconnected, and they represent the community. But that's another debate for another day.
Oh, yeah, sure. Because most of the Muslim women in this country actually feel deprived that instant divorce has been stopped, and they are feeling very bad. And given half a chance, they will see to it that the law comes back, and they are thrown out of their homes immediately and right there whenever their husbands want. Yeah, is it believable? What are we talking?
Javed
Why
Akhtar,
would these women be?
Javed Akhtar, for joining me here today on this contentious issue and speaking your mind out. I appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Namaskar.